And joining us today is Mr. Frank Wagemans, who is the Project Manager responsible investment of VBDO, which is the Association of Investors for Sustainable Development in the Netherlands. Thank you, Frank, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. You were speaking at the Novethic event focusing on norm-based approaches. What is it and how common is this among Dutch institutions?
Well, there are several forms which responsible investment can take. Of course, you can exclude certain products or certain services, such as tobacco or alcohol. Norm-based approach is a little bit similar, but also a little bit more different. What we see as norm-based investment is that by following mainly international guidelines, you as an investor are guided to exclude certain companies. For example, because they breach are not compliant with human rights. But you can also, if you notice that a company is lagging behind, is causing severe environmental damage, you can engage with this company, or you can use your voting rights to make sure that this company will improve regarding their environmental management or their social corporate management.
So how common is this approach in the Dutch institutions?
Quite common, and it's becoming more common. This year we saw that 100% of the 50 largest Dutch pension funds exclude controversial weapons. We also see that guidelines such as the UN Global Compact are quite common in the Netherlands. We see that most of the pension funds refer to these guidelines in the policies. But having a reference in the policy to the UN Global Compact doesn't mean that their implementation is perfect.
VBDO focuses on this particular approach. Tell us why.
We see that especially among Dutch institutional investors that it's hard for them to take a political stand of view. It's hard for them to get their own ethical standards, because one way or the other the beneficiaries or the other stakeholders will attack or will try to push them in a certain direction. But we see that by following international guidelines, it's more easy for them to establish a more objective framework in which they can assess companies or certain bonds or assess their own responsible investment policies.
What future developments do you expect from international norms on ESG issues?
What we see from a perspective from asset managers, we see the development that at the moment it's quite well integrated in public equity, but we see a small development, and it's catching up, that the non-based approach and the responsible investment policy are slowly getting integrated in also other asset classes, such as corporate bonds, such as sovereign debt, but also private equity or hedge funds or even commodities. Secondly, regarding human rights, and it still means that you have to do a lot of research just to be sure that a certain topic or a certain company is in breach of human rights. It sounds quite easy, like white and black, but sometimes a really gray area. So you have to push hard as an asset manager just to make sure that you know which of your companies in your portfolio is breaching any of these principles.